All right, Ryno, you and I never get to really talk this much because of the time zone variances here.
Yeah.
Acolyte episode 4. I thought after episode 3 that it can't get worse than this. And it's not as cuckoo cringy as episode 3, but it's worse in so many other ways to me. There were so many things that didn't make sense in this. Tell me your thoughts as you went through this, because you're a huge Star Wars fan, and you know a lot of deep lore kind of stuff here. How did you get through this? What do you
Okay,
think?
it's one of the hardest shows I've ever had to watch.
Renegade Online.
It's one of the hardest shows I've ever had to watch. I mean, I've watched all the Disney stuff, and there's been some hard stuff in there to get through. Obi-Wan Kenobi, Book of Boba Fett. There's been some really hard stuff. I've never experienced this. It is hard to watch. It's hard, not only on the lore and canon and those sorts of things, but just for entertainment, storytelling value. There's nothing there. Just the basics of cinema, the basics of entertainment, it's just not there. Now, the one thing, it's kind of, you're right. You didn't think that it could get any worse than what it was last week with episode 3. And yes, last week was kooky, cringy, and horrible. This, you don't, it's funny. Each episode, you don't experience the same feelings. You don't experience the same sensations. You know what I mean? Like I said, last week it was cringe. This week it's destructive. But on top of that, their own characters are just like that. I couldn't believe May and Osha in regards to their flip-floppiness, in regards to their motivations, in regards to each other, right? And their thoughts towards each other. May in the fact that she wants to give herself to the Jedi now because it's all about her sister being alive. But in the 16 years earlier, she wanted to kill her sister for wanting to join the Jedi. And then
that was one of the most absurd moments in this whole show. This is what we were complaining about last night. Nothing is set up in this show. That's why there's no payoff. They try to get a payoff, but nothing is set up. She was with this pseudo Sith Lord for the last, 16 years or at least a decade, training and vengeance and hatred. And all of a sudden she's like, nah, you know what? I'm good. There was no leading up to it. There's no shots of her or moments of her, entire episodes of her pondering after seeing that Osha was alive, pondering like, wait, maybe I was wrong. We just went from bing, boom. That was it. It was nothing.
Oh, by the way, that sounds like bigotry.
Oh,
just so that you know, that sounds like bigotry and hatred coming out of your mouth right now. You can't talk about these lore things or even just the character. It's ridiculous. Kiani Mundi thing, which a lot of people, my tweets are going absolutely viral.
Which I got to tell you, when I saw the character on screen, I said, boy, he looks familiar. He looks like the guy I saw in Phantom Menace, but maybe he was alive. I mean, it didn't occur to me that I thought it was the same species. It didn't occur to me until after and everybody was talking. Oh no, that was the same character. It was just, it was supposed
him
to
in
be.
the credits, so that's why.
Yeah.
This is the thing though. Everybody who's out there trying to defend it, the Disney SEALs, the Disney shills, right? They're out there saying, first of all, it was never canon, which is a lie. Disney knew it was canon. How do you decanonize something that was never canon? It's in the thing. It says decanonize. You're decanonizing something that was canon. Kiadi Mundi's character, or species, I should say, only lives for, they say 65 years plus is like they're becoming...
like a human life scale.
Yeah. They basically max he'd live to 100 years old. The Wikipedia, or Wiki, changed it to try and run damage control for Disney. You know what the funniest part about that is? I want to show you something. This was from my tweet, right? The Acolyte takes place 132 BBY. 132 BBY. I want you to remember that number for a second. This was what it was before the episode. It's 93 years BBY.
Yeah.
They tried to run damage control and make it 132 years BBY. Do you know that means that if he's 132 years BBY, he's 0 years old. This is the year that he was born, and they're trying to run damage control. And then people come out and say, see, look, it says canon there from Legends. And then if you go back to this one, it says Legends to canon. Right?
Well, but here's the other thing. Go back to the other slide real quick, because it's even worse than that, Ryno. Let me show you how lazy this is. Look what it says with Born. It just says prior to 132 BBY. Yeah. Meaning that, okay, this show takes place in 132, and now they're saying he's alive. So we don't know when he was born now. We knew yesterday, with a number that had been there for years. We knew it yesterday, but today it's changing, but we don't know when he was born, but we know he was alive for this. So they just say prior to 132.
Canon and lore is created to give us the ability to have a suspension of disbelief, so that we can think that, yes, in this fake world, it's actually real. It gives us that sense of reality. It gives us that sense of growth. It gives us that sense of this grand scale world. The justifications and the absolute mind-boggling headcanon that people are trying to spit to try and justify and run damage control for Disney blows my mind.
Cherry-picking it. Yeah, they're cherry-picking canon, or cherry-picking what they want to fit.
And then another thing from this most recent episode, the Wookiee and the way that he died. Well, we didn't
I hate it. It's so stupid. Yeah,
but hang on.
Sitting in a chair.
You're telling me that you can be impaled. You can be impaled by a lightsaber and not die, and you get a flesh wound. They've made lightsabers like they've got a blade on the end of them. If he got sliced like that, the top half of his body falls off the rest of his body.
Yeah. He had a burn mark across his chest. An 8-foot tall Jedi Master Wookiee died from that. But if your name is Reva and you get stabbed by Vader, you live.
Yep, twice. As a kid and as an adult.
Yeah, Sabine, same thing. Run through by a lightsaber. You know 9,000 degree blade.
It looks like they heat up a coin. Like a dollar coin or something, and then they just put it on there and let that burn for a second, and that's what a lightsaber does now.
Yeah.
That's what it would look like when Sabine took that wrapping off. It is ridiculous. Disney Star Wars, as it says right here, Disney Star Wars isn't Star Wars. It never has been, and it never actually will be.
We're in a similar timeline now. Like you said, we know Tenebris and Plagueis is somewhere in here. I don't remember the exact year, where Tenebris dies and Plagueis just watches him go, see ya, and takes over. Are we going to have one of these twins or these witches is going to be the one that's going to show Plagueis how to do this? He's going to come in here, and these witches are going to be the one, we created life. Plagueis has been trying to figure it out. We're going to show him how to do it, or we're going to be the ones that actually create the life for Plagueis. We create Anakin. I am waiting for it.
That could be the case, or the actual witch renames herself as Darth Plagueis. This is the thing, is that I say that and it sounds ridiculous. It sounds absolutely ridiculous. Your head spins and goes, nah,
but they're not going
to do that. But I wouldn't put it past them. What about time? Let's just talk about time really quickly.
Yeah.
Time going by in this galaxy. I want to talk about this episode specifically when it comes to time. Now, I've made the argument throughout the entirety of The Mandalorian that hyperspace is now hyperspace teleportation, right?
Right.
There's no time that goes by, right? You could look at this side of the story and then you cut to this character and they're jumping through hyperspace and then they arrive at their destination and this character's just walking through the door that they were walking through when we saw them before the jump to hyperspace. You know what I'm saying? There's no time that actually goes by. But specifically in this episode, May and Asian Ezra Miller land on the planet while all the Jedi and Sol and everybody is on Coruscant. They run off to try and find the Wookiee, and she says that we've got 3 hours of light.
Yeah.
And then the Jedi arrive on the planet, and guess what? They both arrive at the Wookiee's hut at the exact same time.
Yeah. And how long
the time?
Yeah, how long does it take to actually, even in hyperspace, go from Coruscant to wherever this planet is? And they did the same thing, Ryno, if you remember. They did the same thing in The Rise of Palpatine, episode 9 or whatever, where they had we have 24 hours before Darth Palpatine or Darth Sidious gets these ships in the air or whatever, for whatever reason. They gave themselves an artificial, unnecessary time limit. And then within 16 of those hours, they had Rey and company jumping to 3 or 4 different planets on different points of the galaxy.
Yeah.
Make sure you're subscribed to Valiant Renegade and join us every Sunday at 6 p.m. Eastern for the live show.